There's a great line in your report here. We talk about underwater homes. You write, based on our calculations, it may turn out that actual water poses almost as much of a problem for the housing market in the future as negative equity has in the past. Just summarize your conclusions here, how much damage this could cause.
You know, if you think about the total value of the housing stock at being right around $28 trillion and losing close to $1 trillion just from water damage, that's an immense amount of money lost and over the next 100 years. And likely, this is a conservative estimate if you think about how many more homes we're going to build. And definitely our love of the ocean is we're putting more homes by oceans or have scenic access to oceans, and these all will be affected by rising sea levels over the next 100 years. It's
an estimate, a conservative estimate, you say. How did you go about putting this together? How did you come up with these figures?
So we used NOAA's data to examine which areas would be affected by rising sea levels, and then going through Zillow's database of over 110 million homes, close to the entire housing stock of the U.S., we were able to pinpoint exactly which homes would be underwater and which cities would be most affected by this.
You look at a worst-case scenario, that's 6-foot rise in sea levels. There's, I suppose, a less worst-case scenario of 2 feet. How much do those figures differ when you change the sea level rise?
You know, of course, they'll differ significantly in a sense that if you go with only a 2-foot rise in sea levels, then it's you have less money lost, fewer homes are affected. However, states that are affected will remain the same. And I think, you know, if you go with what experts are predicting, it's not unreasonable to think that over the next 100 years we will see sea levels rise by at least 6 feet.
How accurate do you think this is? Again, we've characterized it here as an estimate, a conservative estimate. When you look at the accuracy of this, how fluid do you think it might be?
You know, I think it really comes down to what we actually do over the next 100 years. We're going to build more homes, as I mentioned, but surely, you know, if you look at a city like Boston, they're not going to actually let a whole bunch of their homes fall into the ocean, for lack of a better description there. We're going to build more levees. We're going to try everything possible to push back the ocean as well. But along the way, some of that battle we will lose, unfortunately. However, it's hard to say over the next 100 years what will happen and which cities will be protected and which other ones will unfortunately take a very large cut in land.
You work at a real estate firm. You're an economist at a real estate firm, and nonetheless you work at one. And I wonder the degree to which people are now beginning to factor in climate change as something they think about when they're buying a home. Earlier you said people still want to get houses, get apartments, get condos that are on the water. Do you see or do we sense any sort of attitudinal change there, people becoming less interested in being that close to the water?
No, I don't think attitudes are changing in a sense that people want to be less close to the water. I think people more so than ever love being close to the water. And so we're seeing as, you know, natural disasters hit and homes are affected, we're usually rebuilding nicer, more expensive homes by the water. However, one thing people are looking for is to, you know, put homes on stilts. How can we protect ourselves against rising sea levels? And along with that, climate change in general, people are thinking about, you know, should we install AC units? And you know, 5 years ago, if you were building apartment buildings right here in Seattle, where Zillow is based, no one would have thought to include ACs. Now, as temperatures are easily hitting 80s and 90s in the summer, people have to have ACs, so we're building with ACs. So these things are starting to really enter mainstream to think about how does climate change affect how we live.